Hello everybody, welcome back to the channel. I am Neil Winteregg with Matterhorn Business Development, and today I have a very special guest with me, all the way from Australia, just for this video, Mr. Mikel Lindsaar, the CEO and founder of Metapulse.com, the amazing channel sponsor of the Matterhorn Business Development channel. The founder is here to talk to you. So Mikel, welcome.
What an intro. I don't know what to say about that.
Doesn't get any better than that.
No, it doesn't. So I have to say, g'day, mate.
Good day.
Yep, no.
All the way from down under.
So we're going to have to really correct him on that g'day because that's just not going to work. But anyway, you can say howdy and that'll work.
Howdy.
Yeah, there you go.
Yeah, there you go.
Well, it's a pleasure
Universal.
to be here.
Yeah,
Pleasure to
we're
be
so
here.
glad that you're here.
It's been 5 years in the making, I think, to
probably.
actually come on this podcast in person.
Yeah, because we've had a couple of live streams with Mikel, which you can go back and watch. But today what we're here to talk about is not only what is Metapulse.com and what does it do for you, but what is the difference between an employee management system and an HR system? Because I have noticed when I talk to people, I will say, what systems do you use for employee management? And they go, well, I have an HR director.
Correct.
Or I use this HR platform, thinking that employee management for productivity is the same as HR.
Which is not.
It's not, but in your own words, could you explain to us the difference between these two things?
Yeah, well, I mean, a HR system in the modern world could even be right down to a Google Docs spreadsheet. Mm-hmm. You know, fundamentally, HR is all about who's working for you. Are they legally contracted with you? What are you paying them? Are you paying them too much or too little? How can you avoid getting into legal trouble if you fire them incorrectly? I mean, that's sort of where HR is devolved to in the modern world. An employee management system sort of approaches it from another way. Instead of treating your staff as like a resource sort of thing, which is really what HR management, human resource management, is all about. Employee management system is more about how do you get the most production out of your staff? How do you grow the business? How do you make sure the right people are in the right functions and the right roles, doing the right jobs, and able to do it in such a way that your whole business expands. And it's a really interesting difference. We quite often talk to people and go, oh yeah, we've got a HR system. And it's like,
right.
Yeah, you really don't have an employee management system. And once we show them those sorts of functions that they're missing, it really clicks in.
Yeah, definitely. HR and productivity are two different things.
Yeah, and quite often you'll see in larger companies especially, HR becomes almost like a police officer. And what I mean by that is police are really good at stopping bad things from happening. That's
right.
Really what a function of a police officer is, right? You don't see the police officers out there generally trying to start new good things. I mean, it's not their job. So HR becomes a bit of a police officer. And if you let that, which is a very valuable function, don't get me wrong, you do need it in an organization.
Like right, there is legal aspects
totally.
that HR handles, obviously.
If someone's stealing from the cash register, you want HR to come in and get them out, right? I mean, that's
correct.
That makes sense. But you don't want that to be the only focus of how you're treating your staff. Because whatever you focus on in life, you tend to receive, right? If you are spending all of your life going, what are my employees doing that's wrong? Or you're going to find all the things that are wrong. You know, and if that's all you're looking for, that's all you're going to find.
Yeah.
So I think that's probably the key difference. You want to focus on the productivity, what's good, handle what's bad, obviously.
Right.
Don't ignore it, but don't have that as your business.
Well, an interesting thing that I found earlier this week, I was interviewing two partners of a business. We'll say it's a smallish medical type practice. Okay.
Yeah.
And my question to them was, who manages the employees between the two partners? And they just sort of looked at each other and thought, we've never actually had that conversation before, and they've been in business together for 3 years. So they didn't really know who was managing the employees amongst them, and then they didn't really know what the employees were actually doing, because it was kind of like, well, we told that person that they were the front desk, and now they answer the phones,
right.
And we told that person that they do that, but there wasn't really any management systems in place. What does Metapulse do, and what was your vision in creating Metapulse to fix those types of situations for people?
Focusing on that growth aspect, right? So Metapulse is a growth management system, and part of that is employee management. So when you think about what Metapulse does, it really helps you create a team. And if that team know what the other team members are doing, and they understand why they're doing it and how they're being measured by it, they're all going to go in the same direction. They're all going to know who's doing what. They know where to pass the ball. I mean, if you could imagine you've got a soccer team and the goalie doesn't know they're a goalie and the wingman can't run and, the quarterback is sitting there going, what football? You're not going to win a game. And if no one's keeping score on who won what, so then a soccer game would become rock up to a venue to watch 22 people stand on a pitch randomly kicking a ball around, and after an hour and a half go home.
It's kind of like when little kids are playing soccer and
Right.
everybody's just running after the ball and it's just chaos. And
Exactly. No one knows what's going on. And,
Yeah.
and it wouldn't be any fun. And then it wouldn't be $1 billion trillion industry.
Right.
Right. The reason it's $1 billion trillion whatever dollar industry is that every member of that team knows what they're doing, knows what their job is, knows what their product is, are measured on that performance. Like if you want to see measurement, go look at a post-game analysis by any of the sporting networks. You know, it's like this guy did 32.382% successful passes and he's 0.382% above the last. I mean, it's ridiculous, right?
Well, that's one of the funny things that I think of because when I talk to people about statistics and employee management, and you hear all these people saying, "Oh, well, I don't want statistics in my business," and employees complaining, but yet they quote those exact statistics that you're talking about of their favorite sports team, and
On
I go,
Saturday.
"Why is it okay to look at your favorite athlete and criticize them for being down 0.5% on their successful pass rating this weekend, but we're not allowed to look at what we did in business last week?
Yeah.
That's off limits."
That's right.
And it's just
ridiculous.
really backwards as far as that
It's
works.
like ridiculous is the wrong word. It's just a disconnect. Like they just haven't really hooked up that those two things are equal. And the other common thing I see is they've picked the wrong statistics for their staff. Right? So like we have a lot of software developers in our company. We could pick the statistic of lines of code written. Well, that's going to be useless because you get your statistic up by hitting return more often. Like literally get to the end of the file, return. Yes, I'm up.
Yeah.
Or hours of coding is another one. Right? Well, that's ridiculous because then to get your statistic up, you need to be a worse developer that takes longer.
Right.
To do the same job, right? So you really have to find what is the measurement that's going to gamify it in such a way that it will produce more production for everyone and it's an obvious improvement. So I have no idea what the question was that you asked me that got us onto this chat. But fundamentally, that's what an employee management system needs to do. You need to know who's on the team.
Yep.
Which HR sort of does that, but what are they doing, which generally HR will cover through maybe a job description, but it's not going to have all the nuances of the post, like all the company policy and what do you do if someone rocks up to the front desk and asks for some information about the company. There should be a policy on that.
Yeah.
The purposes of the company. What are we doing here? Why are we here? What's the goal of the business? The statistics. Tracking things like alerts. I noticed that this client has been waiting for a week and a half to get serviced. Normally our usual standard is 3 days. There's something wrong, write up an alert. Someone can handle it, right? It gets known about. So these are all critical aspects of a employee management system.
Yeah, I think it should be noted that the point of an employee management system is to increase productivity.
Correct.
Not headaches.
Correct.
And by increasing productivity and decreasing headaches, everybody's actually happier.
Yeah,
And
totally.
they love coming to work. And it's not a slog.
Right.
And everybody acts like a team where it's actually exciting. And so if it's not exciting, then you're doing something wrong or you've hired the wrong people.
Totally.
But you won't know that unless you have systems in place to tell you which of my 80 employees is unhappy and needs to go for their sake and
Or to
my
be
sake.
helped. Yeah. I mean, I had a great example where a developer of ours, their production went down drastically. And normally they were really good. So we could see that statistic. Oh, there you go. Fred's not doing so well. Go to see Fred. What's the problem? Oh, well, it turns out the client's not returning any of my calls and they're not available doesn't rock up to the meetings. Okay. So that's not Fred's problem.
Right.
We haven't onboarded the client properly. Now,
Right.
good. Let's get the client on the phone. Hey, if this is going to succeed, we need you to follow this policy. The client goes, you have a policy for me as a client? We go, yeah, absolutely. Oh, okay. I'll read it. Oh, I have to rock up to the meetings. Okay, good. Well, I'll do that, And now the statistic goes back up. So I think, employee management system, subset of what we do at Metapulse with a growth management system. And I mean, that's obvious, right? If your employees are really happy and they're doing their job and they know what they're doing and they know what they need to produce and they know where to send anything that comes their way to the right person in your company so it gets handled and resolved and production occurs, well, you're going to grow. And that's why we call it a growth management system because that's the end product of what we're trying to do, right? We don't want to manage employees only.
Right.
Like we want that to be part of giving our business owners their life back.
That's right. That's
and
what it's
just
all about.
Be fun and happy and grow.
Well, you too can be fun, happy, and grow. And all you have to do is go to metapulse.com and check out exactly what this employee management system can do for you. And there's even a free 2-week trial that you can sign up for to test it all out, see how it works, get your questions answered. And obviously, if you need any help, you can reach out to us as well because we are specialists at working with Metapulse and we'll make sure that you get everything you need. I hope you learned something new here today. Michael, thank you very much for coming all the way from down under.
Yes.
And you can learn more about Michael down below or visit metapulse.com.
That came out so wrong.
From down under, down below in the description.
Yeah, move on.
That's right.
Dig the grave.
And we look forward to seeing you next time.